Manny literally just went, hey. That was all that came out of his mouth.
Hey.
Hey.
That's the Manny review. Hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Watch Horror podcast. You're here with me, Ruby.
And Rob.
and Manny.
And we just overdosed on the heroin of Shrooms.
I was going to say that.
I'm
I was
sorry.
waiting for you to be like, I'm here with Rob and Manny, and I was going to go overdose on the heroin of Shrooms.
Yeah, no, you pissed all over his imaginary parade.
Great minds, great
It
minds.
was such a good parade. Unlike this movie, that's the end of the episode. We're done now. Ruby can't defend that.
No. Not going to let it happen, I'm afraid. I am so excited right now. I am so happy right now. It is, as you might well be aware, Guilty Pleasure Month, and today was my day, and I got to choose the movie, and I chose the masterpiece, the phenomenal movie sensation that is Shrooms.
I actually realise now how annoying I was being in my episode by being like, the great episode, House of Wax.
Yeah.
And now I see why you guys are so angry towards me.
Yeah, no, mate. Now you get to unload all of those furies onto our guest. Not our guest. Our host.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, no, our host.
Because of this movie, Ruby, you've been demoted to guest.
Yeah, no. Honestly, for picking this, I'm not sure I can even look at you straight ever again.
No!
Mate.
This is not a good start. Anyway, Rob, I just feel like I have to say this. I was very kind to you throughout the entire episode of House of Wax. I was very, very well behaved, actually, compared to how I felt. So, I looked on things positively.
Yeah.
So I expect the same from you.
Well, you did, and I thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
But after the episode, we were like, that was really good, that was really fun to do, but we need to really have to defend it, and you came up with that idea. Mm-hmm. So I feel this is like if you're from the UK and you've ever seen a program called Come Dine with Me, and if you don't, I'll explain it. Basically, 5 people go around each other's houses and eat dinner, and they do it throughout the whole week, one after another, and they vote to see who wins, and then the winner eventually wins.
Depending on who serves the best dinner and who has the best food, who has the best hosting skills.
Yeah. But the person at the first one, because they've just met, they're not going to be that mean to each other, so it's normally the first person that wins.
True.
So, with me, you guys were like, I don't want to be too mean, I haven't really tried this idea out that much, but now we're in, and you've got me and Manny against you, you're a bit screwed.
Manny's going to get fucked next week.
Yeah,
Manny still wants to tread the line a little bit.
I'm so ready, because to be honest with you, I genuinely did try and go into this being optimistic because I've already seen this film once a while ago and I thought it was terrible. I really, really thought it was bad. So I went into this going, okay, I don't want to have too much of a predisposition. I want to try and see the good, just for the sake of balance. I know that, we've decided we all want to take positions of you're defending it and where kind of thing, but just for the sake of fairness, I'm going to try and see the good. And in the first part of the movie, I saw some things I quite liked about it in the first act. But I'm afraid
that didn't last.
No, it really didn't.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be throwing some nice hot watery fucking nastiness towards your way at your beloved piece of shit.
Watery nasty.
Yeah, I know.
Watery nasty.
I'm terrified.
To be fair, some pretty nasty things happen in water in this movie. Which I'm sure we'll get to, but
I thought you were going to say hot watery mushroom soup. That's what I thought.
Oh yeah, no, mate. I'm gonna descend you into a psychedelic hellhole.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
What about you, Rob? What were your preconceptions?
Well, my preconceptions is that we've stuck this on loads of times and we've never ever got to the end of it. Of course, I've seen the end, but every time I've gone to watch this, it normally towards 3/4 of the way through, everyone's like, let's turn it off now. What are we even watching? And I sadly found it the same. Yeah, I love the start of this film though. I think they set it up great. The douchebaggery is on point here. But you get that really, you get the British guy, which is really proper hipstery and proper I'm drugs and I know all the differences of drugs and I know all the shrooms and I'm really cool. But I love the setup of it. But yeah, as we'll get into, as it goes along, I found myself being like, oh, come on, I want to get to the end now.
Fair enough.
But,
okay, so I feel like I'm going to have to defend the same parts of this film for both of you.
Yes.
Stuff that happens further towards the end, I guess.
No, for sure.
Okay.
I do think this film severely loses footing, like towards the end of the second act, especially.
It'd be interesting to see exactly where you kind of got off board. I probably know, but it'll be interesting to hear. I have to say, like, obviously, I have my preconceptions. Obviously, I chose this movie. I probably saw it for the first time about when it came out, which was 2007, which I can't quite believe. 2 years after your choice, House of Wax, actually. So it's a very similar era of horror. And I just remember really loving it. I remember I've always known it's not great in terms of like critical acclaim and it's not actually fantastic filmmaking, but I just remember it being a lot of fun. Great to watch with friends. Like, House of Wax was a great example of a horror movie you watch with your friends with a few beers, right?
Completely.
Mostly at the film's expense.
Yes.
This, I think, is a great example of a film you watch with your friends, but, you know, you turn the lights off, you have your covers, and, like, in the early days, you know, when you're a bit younger, it's something that you can actually get a bit spooked at.
It's definitely good for younger people, I think, you know, like, if it's your first couple of horror films, and definitely stick this on, you will find it creepy. But us old hands at horror that have been watching horror for fucking years now and know all the tricks, this film brings nothing new, apart from one bit, which I'll bring up later.
Okay.
It has one bit for me, I'm like, that's cool, that's original, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But other bits of it, I am just like, oh, I've seen this like loads of times.
I completely understand.
And then you could have done anything. You could have done anything.
That to me was one of the things that I thought was a little bit of a missed opportunity, in that, you know, then it's not like it hasn't been done before really well. Just the idea of like a bad trip in a horror sense, like to like sort of using that as a preconception, like having a bad time on a psychedelic drug. You really can like let an imagination loose on that, you know what I mean? Because you're not bound to the confines of reality anymore, so you can kind of do a lot. And I'm not quite sure any of the people on crew behind the creative decisions have ever taken mushrooms, because it just. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like the trip sequences are all just like you got some trails. Like it was kind of like things got a little bit blurry. And maybe...
Okay, before you sort of say any more because I feel like you've opened up a lot there that I want to go into.
Yes.
Definitely want to go into. Maybe we should do the back of the box first.
Alright, okay.
Just in case.
I'll hold my thought.
Just in case you are living under a rock and you've never seen Shrooms, this is the...
To be fair, I don't think this film was particularly big outside the UK, so maybe living under a rock just means living in Texas.
Okay. Could do.
Don't be offended any of our fans from Texas.
Yeah, no, we
know because of Podbean and the fact that they show us where you all are, there's a lot of you in Texas that like this.
We know where you are.
We love you in Texas. I'll go through the storyline of this. It's on the IMDb thing. Ruby's had like 2 versions of the DVD of this, and she's lost them both. But
been stolen.
Been stolen. So the storyline is 3 couples go to Ireland Woods. To collect magic mushrooms and trip out. On their way, they meet some strange inhabitants of the woods, and it doesn't take long until a creepy story is being told at the campfire, which might be more than just a story. So strange things happen. People start disappearing, silhouettes move through the woods, and the creepy story starts to melt into reality. The horror kicks in along with the effect of the mushrooms. Now, that is something I wanted to maybe even help Ruby in the argument that we were both saying that you were on shrooms, they could have gone anywhere. Yeah. But it's also like a folklore story. It's got a bit of folklore involved, and I suppose they wanted to stick to that line.
To be fair, when I said that, I mean kind of like visually, it didn't look. It doesn't look particularly convincingly psychedelic.
No, it's very just wavy.
Yeah, which you know, I understand that. You know, I'm not necessarily looking for an absolutely spot on representation, or I'm not necessarily looking for the wildest shit I've ever seen. But it just came off as a bit uncreative visually. The trip sequences. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that. You know, there's the whole thing of is it real, is it not? You know, should they've been told this story the night before, and you know, and like. I get that, but it just, I thought they could have gone a lot further with that as an idea.
Just to say something, this is fucking hilarious. So, I've got the IMDb storyline up here. Underneath are plot keywords. I'll give you the first 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 1, female armpit hair.
Yeah, that's absolutely pivotal to this fucking movie.
That's the number one plot.
Female.
What the hell? That's gonna be a joke.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then the next it's wood, mushrooms, drugs, and camping.
Okay.
Which makes sense, but female armpit hair?
No, man. To be fair, I'm not sure this movie would have been the same without our hairy female character.
Oh, it's rife with them, isn't it? There's so much female.
Yeah, like she. To be fair, during that argument between the two like female characters, the two girlfriends, are just like, oh, bitch. At least my tits are real. She's just like, oh, shut up, Chewbacca. And I mean that's a pivotal character moment.
Beautiful representation of female friendship.
Absolutely.
Just before Ruby takes us through her take in the film and tries to really defend this, I just want to say something. So, there's a return of another popular phone in this that got me very excited. The Motorola Razr is back again.
And the pink one.
That's a very popular one to get, the pink one back.
It was.
And that's 2 films with the Motorola Razr in it now. I love going through the noughties films.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a blast from the past. Those things were they were the rage back when, weren't they?
It'd have to be a compulsory drinking game element, wouldn't it? Spotting a Motorola.
Not a naughties horror movie, or just naughties movie drinking game, like a Motorola Razr, like flipped up in like super cool fashion.
We never got to see this one flip, which was disappointing.
Yeah, no, I
was like, oh, I never got to go.
You never got your release.
No,
I feel for you, man.
One of the first things I want to say is it relates to you bringing up like the psychedelic effects or lack thereof of psychedelic effects. I don't know for sure, but having rewatched this, I have a feeling this wasn't a big budget movie.
No, I don't think it was either.
I think it was probably relatively, not massive, not really low, but relatively low.
No, I don't think it was big budget
and
either.
I think that affected like the CGI usage, or again, lack thereof, and the psychedelic effects. And also, just because of watching House of Wax, which again was 2 years previous to this, they used so many like big pop punk songs and like metal songs.
Yeah, none in this.
There was not a single one in this.
Point to me.
Why?
Because mine had all the awesome songs. None in this. I was hoping for a little bit of something, maybe some kind of like smaller.
I really expected
band.
there to be something in the credits.
Yeah.
I thought they was going to come in with like a bit of corn or something, but there was like none of that. It was
no licensed music.
Very generic horror score in there.
Yeah, the score was like I always noticed like the score in movies, and I just didn't even.
Yeah,
it doesn't jump out at all.
I will accept that criticism.
Yeah, the score in this is wallpaper, and not in like an interesting way either. It's like, yeah.
Taking us to the start, they're flying. So a group of friends are flying to Ireland, and there's a lady in this. I can't remember her name, which is not good for the film.
Which one?
Our leading lady.
Our leading lady is Tara.
Now Tara,
right?
She's like going to meet her supposed lover. In Ireland, and they're going to go shrooming. Now, there's a bit in this where one of her friends says to her, she's like, oh, it's not my boyfriend. And she's like, well, why are you driving 5,000 miles to get to him?
I'm pretty sure she says flying.
She says driving.
I think she says flying.
I'm going to say driving. That's how I heard it. And
maybe she says travelling.
Nah.
You're so stubborn.
This film goes wrong from the get-go.
Well, technically, actually, the very first scene we get is a shot of a woman running through the woods. And at the start of this movie, if you've not seen it before, we don't know who this woman is. It's just a woman running through the woods, panting and gasping and all that usual stuff.
Yeah.
And that's interlaced with some sort of like relatively generic, but still quite effective, I will say, like just horror shots.
I wouldn't have minded that if they didn't keep doing them throughout the film, the same shots. I really, at the start, I loved that opening. I was like, this is really cool, looks really dark, it's setting up to be quite creepy, and then throughout the whole film, it's like, oh, you know that bit at the start? Here it is again.
Only twice. It only happens twice.
It feels like a fucking lot of the time.
It does use, it doesn't use the exact same shots, but all of like the kind of the shots of the hooded figures that standing there, and like the shakiness and the constant zoot zipping around it.
I really like that shaky shot though.
Oh, it loses its effectiveness because they overdo it.
But the first time, we're talking about that.
The first time.
The initial like scene definitely like piques your interest for sure, and I mean. I agree with you, Rob. The initial setup generally of the movie, even though it is very generic, just of a group of people all going out to the fucking woods to go shrooming, and you've got like the character in the back smoking on a bong, and they're all joking together. It's very generic, but it works, and you are like, oh, okay, and like. I also like the scene where they're actually like he's relaying the story. Again,
I thought that was great.
Yeah,
he was a good actor.
Who are you talking about?
The English guy,
Jake.
Yeah. He was really good. Again, like completely generic, but done really well. Like you know what I mean. Considering the fact that I do think this is definitely a low budget movie. I'm sure we'll get to that in the competition round. But this is.
I'm really intrigued to see how much.
Me too.
Big the budget was on this. I will again. I'm going to be doing a few letting you have criticisms in this, but, bear in mind, it's an amazing movie. Okay. I will also agree with you that one of the worst parts of this movie is the characters.
Yeah.
And the relationships they have with each other.
Are you sure you want to bring this up? Because if you remember, you're allowed one bad thing. You're allowed to say one bad thing about the movie as the defender. Do you want to? I'll give you a chance.
That'll be it, actually.
That'll be it. Okay.
Cool. I have a couple of other small points, but they're like not really a big deal. Like my issue. Okay, my one thing I'm allowed to have is the characters, but within that is the relationship they sort of have with each other.
You've gone for an umbrella
development.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
The thing is,
it's not good.
As much as I'm saying it's a bad thing, I think. Okay, basically, my argument for this film is that it is generic, but it's generic horror at its finest. That's my argument.
Okay.
And I know that's hard for you to swallow because generic is like the biggest insult for you. That's like the worst you can be. And I agree with you most of the time, but this is generic horror at its absolute best. It gets away with it for me, obviously. For me, one of the reasons for that is the characters. I literally wrote down, we watched Cabin in the Woods again a few weeks ago, and I literally wrote down, the jock, check, the slut, check, the nerd, check, and the jester / stoner, check.
Yeah.
And they're all there. All four of them are there. Plus, we've also got, the jock is Bluto.
Yeah.
Who is played by Robert Hoffman.
What a fucking cock ring.
He's
a Chad.
I was literally just about to say that.
He is like prime Chad, isn't he? He really is. I mean, he's on steroids for fuck's sake.
Literally.
Yeah. I've got to say one thing as well. The bit where we see the kind of... They're like the hillbilly character, but they're from Ireland, so they're not hillbillies. But, like the indigenous people, as Jake says. But... Okay, this is weird. White guy says to another white guy, "Motherfucking cracker, man! Why are you calling him a cracker? What the fuck? Like, what is this shit?"
I don't know if like crack is also like a term for like white trash, but I don't know.
That's what I took it as. They're clear. You know what I mean? Like literally, they might as well be. They literally give them like a deer they've just killed in order for. They literally give them roadkill.
Yeah.
So it's literally which I think's hilarious. The fact that like even Ireland has its fucking hicks, you know, and they literally take it away, and go oh, like they're fucking like borderline like mentally challenged. It's fucking that
those hillbillies have names. I'll have and it's Ernie and Bernie.
Are they actually called Ernie and Bernie?
Christ.
Are they seriously called?
Where was the comedic effect where we could have had that? We could have had something really funny with like them being like, "I'm Ernie and he's Bernie," but no, we got them just like drooling everywhere.
Yeah,
because it's still creepy, and that's something I think is great about this film. Is it maintains that atmosphere. One of the best things about this movie is the atmosphere that they have from start to finish. They don't break that with sudden weird scenes like in House of Wax, for example, where it's just like everything's sunny and fine now for a moment for no reason. They maintain that tenseness throughout, I think.
I just feel that's because they're in Grey Island.
I mean, of
It's
course.
grey the whole time.
Of course, they have to hit something on the road, and there has to be hillbillies. Like, it wouldn't be a horror film otherwise, guys. Come on.
Yeah, no, Hereditary had loads of hitting things. To be fair, they did fucking hit something in the road, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But they didn't see no hillbillies in
there we
Hereditary.
go.
Shall we do a competition round? Because this one is important. Or have you got something more?
Well, I was sort of talking about the characters before, and I wanted to just line that up. But we just established there's the jock, Bluto, played by Robert Hoffman. We've got the slut. I really hate that word. What's she called in the Cabin in the Woods?
The harlot?
The whore.
The whore.
I think
okay, that's not much better.
the promiscuous lady.
The lady of the night.
The woman of dubious moral standing.
The sex worker.
Yeah.
anyway, that woman in films, you know, that one. This is Lisa, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Played by Maya Hazen. And we've got, I've said the nerd, she's not really a nerd, Tara, but she's the good girl.
Yeah.
You know, she's smart, she's obviously well read, she's prepared and organised and thoughtful, like, so she kind of fits that role.
Never seen her take an
I guess she'd more fit the virgin, wouldn't she?
That's the kind of, all under that umbrella, like the innocent, you know, the final girl, normally. She is technically the final girl in this, in a sense, in a way. That's Tara. She's played by Lindsay Horn, who, did you recognise her, Rob?
No.
I've seen her face.
She is Hadley from True Blood. And I know that means nothing to you, Manny, and not much to you, Rob, but it means a lot to me. Yes, True Blood. And then we've got, like, in The Cabin in the Woods, they call him the Jester, right?
Yes.
And I remember in that film, they say, like, oh, we have to improvise or something. Actually, no, that's about the Virgin. Forget I said that. But they have, like, the Jester character, who is essentially, like, a stoner in modern day. That's kind of what they make out. Like, the Jester in that film is basically just a stoner. And that is Troy, played by Max Cash. So
we were literally saying he looks like the love child of Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, and Haley Joel Osment, the kid from The Sixth Sense.
He definitely does.
Yeah, no, for sure. He literally, like, I feel sorry for that dude with that hair and that face. He's just gonna be playing fucking dudes who are just sucking from bongs in movies. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude.
Well, he could get a haircut like fucking Bluto does, randomly camping in the fucking field.
Yeah, that was
odd.
What
shit was that about?
I think it was just to establish he has scissors, but I don't know why they had to establish that.
Babe, cut my hair, we have to go camping.
She gets her hair cut later on, doesn't she? But yeah, I don't know what that was about. It was a bit odd. In addition to that, though, we also have Holly, played by Alice Gregson. She's kind of outside of those boundaries of stereotypes. Like, I mean, she is a stereotype. She's like a hippie chick.
Yes.
She's bringing that hashtag hairy armpits. I don't know what that's
about. Liberation!
Yeah, and we've also got, as you've mentioned, Jake, played by Jack Houston. And again, he's a stereotype, but he doesn't fit into those, like, traditional roles again. He's kind of like the handsome hero, I guess.
I don't really understand why in a film made by Irish people, filmed in Ireland, he wasn't Irish.
Do you know what? When I was younger, I thought he was, because I have a really bad ear for accents.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be Irish. That's weird. That
it kind of would have made sense.
Do you think it's because they thought that an American audience wouldn't have no idea what he was saying?
Yeah, I'm going to guess so.
Maybe, but you could have a soft Irish accent. It doesn't have to be Southern Irish.
There is something dodgy then, if that's the case, that they decided to make the hillbilly characters with like strong like there's accents to the point where you can like I mean they're quite hard to understand.
I don't even think they were Irish.
Yeah, they are.
I think they just couldn't talk through their fucking dribble.
They just had very strong, like, they almost sounded more West Country to me. But again, my accent really does obviously terrible.
Nice tongue on a bull calf.
Oh yeah.
Nice tongue on a bull calf.
Now I hear it from
like sandpaper.
That was one of the finest quotes of the hour.
Shall I do a competition round now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, please.
Let's get in there early.
Okay, so I want to do a bit of explaining on the competition round because it's like a double competition round. Like it's gonna go on for a couple of episodes. It's like a tournament.
Okay.
This one. So obviously the winner of this one, if I did it as gets to pick the next episode, that's crap because obviously it's Manny's pick next one.
Yeah.
So, but after that we've got another debate episode happening. So I thought the winner of this round has to pick 3 debate ideas of their own.
Potential
debate ideas of their own. So the winner of this one picks 3 debate ideas, brings it on to the next episode. So the next episode, next Thursday episode we do, they will unveil their 3 ideas.
Okay.
Now one of them definitely will be the debate episode, but the winner of next week's episode will pick one of those 3.
Okay.
So it could be that you pick 3 ideas and then you win and you pick an idea out of your 3 ideas.
Yeah.
The one that you really want, or if you win next week's one but don't win this one, you get to pick one of the 3.
Okay.
So this would be like Ruby's chance to do like a Lord of the Rings one and bring that into the thing, but then Manny could win and not have that one.
Yeah.
So if you want your Lord of the Rings, if either of you want a really weird debate that only you would like, you've got to win twice in a row.
Stakes is high.
Now Manny's been doing that quite recently, so
yeah.
So the first competition round I'm going to bring. It's to do with mushrooms, the drug, the psychedelic natural drug that's out there. Now,
if any of my relatives are listening, I know nothing about this.
Exactly, it's all about the research.
So yeah, I have absolutely no upper hand on this question whatsoever.
Yeah, no advantages.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Whoever wins this one's going to have to answer some questions. But what is the best country to get the best mushrooms in?
Are we taking it in turns?
We'll take it in turns, yeah.
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
It's Mexico, isn't it?
It's not, Manny.
Oh, okay.
It's not Mexico.
Alright.
Ruby?
Well, mushrooms need moisture, right? They grow in like damp, darker areas. They don't grow in hot areas, as far as like, or at least not as well. So I imagine it's a European country. Possibly.
Have a guess and find out.
That could. I mean, I'm putting that out my arse.
We're going to keep going till one of you gets it.
Ireland.
No.
It is in England, is it?
No.
No, it isn't.
Scotland.
No. No, this isn't this. I don't know if this is necessarily where they're grown, but this is like the best place to go if you want to get your mushroom fix.
Okay.
So
is it Holland?
No.
Okay.
I think come out of Europe.
Come out of Europe.
right.
Way out of Europe.
So
Oh shit. Okay.
possibly a rainforest if we need moisture. Russia?
No.
Colombia.
No.
Fuck no.
It's going to be think of one that you would not expect.
Okay. Did you say country?
A country, yeah.
Nigeria.
No.
One you wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't expect mushrooms to grow in Antarctica.
That's a bit too far.
Oh fuck.
Canada.
No.
I definitely would not expect mushrooms to grow in Indonesia.
Very close,
Oh,
but no.
Christ.
Not a country.
Oh, Indonesia. Then I get to go again. Vietnam.
No. By the way, I meant very close is that in the wording is very close.
India!
Yes, India.
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 Oh, okay, fair.
I didn't
You
expect
might need
that.
to edit out some of that because that's just us shouting countries.
I know. I was really hoping you'd get there a bit quicker, and it's not just 2 minutes. You go India, Mexico.
This is the thing when you give like questions that are so open ended. You're putting that at us two, mate. So we're just gonna go like, I don't know, China.
This is the hardest thing because I did the number round, and you guys weren't a big fan of the numbers constantly, so I try and mix it up, and now you guys can't work it out. It's a tough one. We'll get there with these questions though. We'll get them perfect.
It's a work in progress.
I am surprised by that. I don't know why. I just assumed it
Yeah,
would be like a really damp, moist sort of country, but okay.
No, clearly not.
To be fair, they have a lot. They do have a lot of cows in India. I know it does grow
true.
from cow shit. So
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, you learn something new every day. They tripping balls in India.
Did you want to do another question?
No, that's the first round.
Nice.
Fat.
Very nice question. I like it.
Yeah, me too.
So this was actually filmed in, I say on location. It was actually filmed in like a forest, I think like a national park. I can't remember what it was called. The sign that they go into in the film is Glengarriff Forest Park, but I don't know if that's actually where it was filmed or not. And that's, again, what I want to say, a really big, good part of this movie is the location. And I think you have to agree with me on that.
Yeah, it's perfect for a horror type film. Like Manny was saying in the film, he was like, this is like perfect. You know, you got the long skinny trees, it's like misty, it's grey and depressing.
And drizzling the whole time.
The scene setup's good. That's definitely true.
I just think it feels really isolated. It feels very hollow, and I think you would feel very lonely if you were there. Like, you know, when they're wandering amongst those trees, you really feel the cold. You feel like the miserable atmosphere, like, and the isolation. Like, especially when they lose touch of each other. You know, I think it's a really strong atmosphere.
I think that the atmosphere was much better in The Ritual though for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. But like that's a movie with much better production values than this one.
Also, I'd make the argument that in The Ritual, they're trying to create a sense of suffocation and claustrophobia. Like, that's the point. They're stuck in the woods. The point of this movie isn't that they're stuck in the woods. That's not the point. They're not lost. They're just they're out of their minds, you know. And because of that, they can't think straight. You know, they can't think to find the road, and you know, they spend half the time looking for each other. So it's not like
they are lost in the woods.
Not really. completely. They're lost from each other, which is different. So you want that sort of more expansive feel of emptiness rather than that closeness.
I never really felt like it didn't really give me the feeling that the woods were like massive though. It didn't communicate that in a particularly like I feel as though the actual like the woods in the ritual like you get a real sense of the scale. Like this doesn't.
But that's not the point. Again, it's that they're so out of their minds that they don't even know how to think straight to look for each other. So it almost doesn't matter if the woods were like a mile wide or 25 miles wide or 100 miles wide. But if they're walking around in circles, it doesn't matter. You know,
in a couple of the lines, they do mention like you could. Like you could lose each other for days out here. I do feel as though they wanted to kind of communicate that, but it wasn't. I always felt as though they were just kind of like filming in like the same places over and over again, which I mean it wasn't hugely distracting, but yeah, I felt like it could have been improved if you felt a real sense of the scale. But I do like of some of the shots, particularly of the the long, tall, skinny trees, which is they have like it is quite generic, but it certainly looks good, and there's a reason that is generic is the fact that as a visual thing, those kinds of trees just do look quite eerie, and it definitely plays on that quite well. I will give it that.
Thank you. In addition to the location, I think a couple of this like more like sets, I guess you can call them, not that they're really sets. In particular, the abandoned hospital. Well, in the movie, it's an abandoned. Is it like orphanage, like children's home?
It's like a bad children's home. It's like where they put the bad kids, isn't it?
Yeah, and they actually used a real abandoned hospital for this, so it wasn't a set. That's really there.
It did look good. The hospital looked really good.
It looked really good and really creepy. And you mentioned it as well. There's a really cool shot when she finally makes her way there. It comes from like an aerial view, a bird's eye view, looking down, where she walks up the spiral steps.
Yeah, and
they took advantage of it.
Oh yeah, no, that shot looked really cool. Like you kind of felt as though she was entering like the mouth of hell or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked cool. There was for sure like a few shots here and there which were really good, but in fact you said the one thing that you'd have issue is the characters. My biggest issue with this film really is the some of the cinematography choices and the effects, but we'll get to that. So it was good that it had a few good shots that were genuinely really cool to look at and added a lot to the movie, because man, there were some other ones which just looked really bad. But like I said, we'll get to that. We'll definitely will.
Go into the group. They get there and they go foraging for mushrooms, and we learn a little about them, and we're looking for the ones with nipples on, which you think. I don't know if that's true or not. Do you think that was a bit of comedy, or this is
that is actually true. Like Liberty Cat mushrooms do have an actual like nipple on them, and like they do. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be surprised if they actually managed to find like a few clusters to think, even though I'm not sure of the legality of something like that. But they even if they did just make some prop like copies of them to put down there, which they probably did. They look convincing. You know what I mean? Because I definitely have not seen any in real life. I just have friends that have told me about exactly how they look. Yes. And just from what they've told me, they look very convincing.
You're very convincing right now.
Yeah.
There's something I wanted to ask you actually, as someone who has friends who knows about these things.
Yes.
As far as I am personally aware, which is through only hearing things. Just eating one mushroom wouldn't do anything, would it?
No.
No, because there is a part a little bit when is it Holly and what's his fucking name? I want to call him Jay now.
We'll call him High Guy.
Yeah, we'll call him Lean Ed, Stoner.
Yeah, Stoner Boy Mushroom Guy.
Troy. Holly and Troy are getting down and dirty in the tent, as you would. It's a horror film for teenagers, and they eat one cap each.
Yeah.
And talk about it heightens the sexual experience or something. And even at the time, I think in 2007, I was like, that wouldn't do shit.
Yeah. So an average, if you took them and didn't dry them, average dose is about 30 is considered. Sort of thing. Like if you have one, the most you're getting really is just you might feel literally it'd be the same as having a sip of beer. You might get the slightest little bit.
But yeah, so they have they go foraging, and we get a little bit explanation, and there's a little added treat. We get this Death Head's cap or something, the one with the black nipple,
the Death Head shroom.
Yeah, and that's like, oh, okay, that's exciting. And in my head, I was like, okay, so what they're going to have to do is when they collect all their mushrooms, they're clearly going to look through them and to find out which one is. And I thought that was going to be a mistake, because I thought that I couldn't remember this film that much.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, so it's just going to get in the tea, and they're all going to go crazy because of it or something. Right. And they're going to, and I'm going to be sitting here going, why didn't they check through the fucking shrooms beforehand? But we get a little twist. We don't. Is Tara, she, even though she's the good girl, she's the virgin character, she's all that stuff, she sees one and just like goes, oh, I want it, and just eats it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I know I am not allowed to have more than one thing I don't like about this film, so I'm just going to say, I understand where you're coming from. I can see how you would think that it would be very strange that she would randomly do that.
This is starting to sound like Manny's friends that take the shroom.
I mean, me personally, it just seems so clear, you know, like she was hungry.
Even though her friends had never seen her take as much as an aspirin, she takes. I mean, I know she doesn't know that it's dangerous, but I don't think she heard that one was dangerous.
There is also a strange effect going on where like the screen is like shaking a little bit, and like there's like a weird noise, like a rushing noise, like almost to suggest that there's something influencing her to take it.
Yeah.
There is always that. There's a double plot throughout this film, right? Like throughout to the end. And at the end we kind of get an explanation for it, but that explanation doesn't explain everything. And I think that's very, very intentional. And they know that there is a supernatural element here that persists throughout.
Okay.
So potentially she was influenced to do that.
Okay.
For some reason.
I suppose that is the reason why we don't have to have this scene where they look through them, because it's not like that. Like we don't. Oh, someone's already taken the bad mushroom, so you don't need anything to explain why someone's taken the bad mushroom. I'm not here going, for God's sake, you mixed the bad mushroom in the tea. Why didn't you check it?
No.
But
Jake was, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and he did, and he definitely played that character well. Like I fully believed him as like, oh, this kind of dude's like, yeah, I've researched this, and I used to get bullied, but drugs makes you cool, so I've researched that shit. And that's the thing. Like, the setup of this is great, and everything up to that point I'm enjoying. I feel that the bit where they start to try and add the proper horror elements into this, which is after they've gone to bed, after the weird 10-time sex scene that couldn't have been a 10-time sex scene because it only had one mushroom cap in it. That's where it starts to get a bit like, okay, like you set it up too high. You did a Stephen King.
Okay. I personally, one of my favourite bits of this movie is the proper campfire scene after they've picked the mushrooms, after Tara has eaten the death head, and she basically has a fit, right? And she has visions. Jake comes to the rescue, saves her, and he says, you just got to go to bed, everything will be fine in the morning, you just got to ride it out. So she goes to bed, and they all stay up kind of partying. And again, I really like this shot because she sees like shadows through the side of the tent and stuff. And yeah, they could have gone full psychedelia with it. But at the end of the day, this isn't actually a drug movie. This is a horror movie with drugs in it. And it's not about like getting high. It's about getting fucking fucked up. Getting fucked. And by that I mean, no, dead fucked.
Yeah, alright then, we'll let you have that. Yeah.
So it uses like those silhouettes really cleverly, I think, and it like I said, it maintains a horror atmosphere throughout. It doesn't ever go like silly or party or wild. It's always kind of creepy. And then as that dies down, it turns into one of my personal favourite scenes, which is the story of the black brother and the lonely twin.
I like that scene. This is still before they bring in like the jumpy bits.
Right,
so this is still part of the setup for me.
Right,
and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
they
me
played
too.
that really well. I think the girls as well playing like how they're scared by the story. That's very believable. They didn't go like, oh my god, and like run away. They were just like, no, dude, like shut up. And like as Manny brought up, it's like, yeah, like dude, you've just been like, we're about to take mushrooms. You've just said about how people can go have a good or bad trip. We're gonna take mushrooms tomorrow, and you've just given me these like scary ideas that probably if someone told that to me. And like in any situation, and we went to camp in the woods, I would be thinking about that constantly. So imagine if you're taking shrooms, that's not a good way to start.
Yeah. I think it would get on anybody's like nerves in a way, like make them a bit nervy in that situation.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
He literally says, doesn't he? weird stuff happens up here in Shroom season.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where they are.
Yeah, they're up there at Shroom season to take shrooms, and weird things happen at Shroom season. Man, he's a dick. But, like, you know what I mean? Like he knows full well, like if he's as well researched as he claims to be, the power of putting these kinds of ideas in the minds of people who are going to take these drugs. Do you think there's some kind of an ulterior motive where he's just like, these guys are going to be all so fucked up, it's going to be so entertaining.
I'm going to steal their money.
Yeah. Like, honestly, it is just like...
I just think it's one of those things, you know, they're all still relatively young. I don't know how old they're supposed to be, but they're post-college.
Yeah.
So they're round about our age, maybe a little bit younger.
Definitely a bit
so
younger.
they're still young, you know. Yeah, he's clearly like one of the most sort of sensible, head screwed on of the group, but he's still young and he still wants to have fun and be silly and have a laugh. And they ask for a scary story. They ask for it. They push him for it, and he's like, well, you know, we all know what the scariest story is, the true one, and they still allow him to tell that story. So I don't know, he's being a bit of a douche, but no more than most of us would be.
It's still believable though. I've been out camping and people have said those kind of stories, like especially when you're quite young and you're like, oh, like everyone's like, why did you do that? It's like, we came out here to tell scary stories.
Yeah.
So that's why I love the first like half an hour of this film.
Okay, so you guys still are on board at this point.
I'm still on board at this point.
Yeah. I'm still on board. It's like it is clearly from this point like a B movie, but I'm totally down for it, and I'm totally like I'm completely still engaged with the kind of the story that it's offering, even though it isn't the most unique thing. But yeah, we will get to where it starts to plummet.
We're ready for another competition round?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
About the shrooms again.
Okay.
I've got 2 questions about the shrooms on this one. So, how many thousands of years ago is the first kind of documented when people started using shrooms for recreational uses?
Wasn't it? I think it was. Was it? It wasn't. Was it 4,000?
No. Ruby?
5,000 years.
No.
20,000.
No.
Last week.
No.
They've only just written it down. Well, I'm confused now, but am I totally off with those numbers? You know I don't do numbers.
Just how many years to the 1,000? How long ago is the first documented what we think how far back shrooms were being taken?
I know this off because I've read a thing about the history of human beings taking substances and stuff, and they think it there's a whole theory that they think it might have been one of the reasons why we developed our consciousness.
Yeah.
Was it like 1,000 years ago?
No.
It wasn't 1,000. Christ, I don't fucking
10,000.
Close.
15,000.
Further away.
9,000.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yes, I got that first.
Fucker.
I really always assume that when I ask these questions, I'm like, okay, it's 9,000, so, it's going to be quite simple, because you're going to be like, someone's going to be like 2,000, and you'll be like, oh no, 4,000, I'll be like, oh, 5,000, it's not, but we'll iron out the kinks eventually. Right, that's the end of that round, so we have a few more questions left after this one.
Cool. So after this is like you say, this is when the real horror starts to kick off, or the horror as we know it sort of starts to kick off.
Yeah.
I guess. One of the things I like about this is that, about the plot in general, I guess. I personally think the concept of this movie is pretty cool. It's not unique, it's not genius, it's not groundbreaking, but I think it's pretty cool. As for a silly horror movie, the idea of taking drugs and it just going completely wrong is quite scary. And that's something I'll stand up for throughout this movie. A couple of the situations they're in are just scary as they are, There's a bit where 2 of the girls, Tara and Lisa, are walking through a lake. It goes up to sort of their knees, a bit deeper than that, and they're walking through this lake. And just that alone is pretty scary. You never know what you're going to kick up or walk into.
The premise is scary. No, I completely get the idea of going to the woods you don't really know, having a party, maybe taking something, and then things going wrong. That is a terrifying situation. I've been out to a park in the middle of the day with my friends, and someone's hurt themselves, and it becomes this terrifying situation that you're like, what the fuck are we going to do? But they've also added this folklore element to it, and that's the thing that I feel like that's where it falls down, is this, I the story's great, but when they actually bring this dude who's he looks like a mixture of Dobby and Gollum in a raincoat, and he's got this axe, and all he does every time you see him is open his mouth going And that looks fucking stupid.
Yeah.
He kills people with like an axe, even though his main weapon is this like 3-inch blade stick thing, but he's killing people with axes.
She is killing people with axes.
You've just spoiled the film now. For any plan that we were going to do of like, later on we'll unveil the spoiler.
Well, I think it's important, like, we're gonna talk about it anyway, so we may as well go through the plot knowing this and being open about this. Is we find out at the end that Tara is the one doing the things that she's seeing in her mind as the Black Brother doing, right?
Yeah.
Before I forget, actually, as a question to you two, how obvious do you think that was?
Kind of, but not entirely.
Oh, okay, I thought you were both going to be like, "Oh, it was so obvious."
No, I didn't think it was
I mean, you could definitely guess it. I mean, because it is, you know, I mean, like, it's definitely something which, if you were going to make this movie, which is about a bunch of people, like, getting high on a hallucinogenic substance, and when he's describing the properties of the black head to all of them, he says, doesn't he? He's just like, it causes like unbridled.
What do you mean, the death's head?
Yeah, the death's head. Right. Yeah. When he's like describing, like, because they find one, isn't he? And it like goes in on like a foreboding shot where he's like, if you manage to survive, like your heart exploding in your chest, it gives you like unbridled fury or something like that. Like he's and you know like prophecies and visions, and then she eats one. Like you could definitely guess it. I mean, It was the one thing I remembered about the film from when I'd previously watched it, because I remember when I watched the movie and that twist happened, I personally thought it was just like, oh, okay. I didn't see it 100% coming, but that's because I wasn't that engaged with it when I was watching it. So
I think I would have enjoyed it more if they had alluded to it a bit more. Because I know that when I look back on it, I think, okay, so she heard the story while she was tripping out, like tripping balls in the tent sleeping. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it may have got in, this idea of what's happening. And then when she comes out and in the next morning, she's banging on about all this crap. And like, I wish that they would have alluded to it just a little bit more. And maybe it was me when I was watching this film, but normally with this stuff, I'm bang on it. Like, I'm always looking for this stuff. And I didn't get it. And that really, by the time that it found that it was her, I was just like...
this time round?
Even this time round. I've forgotten about it, which is also a bad point for this film, is that I've seen this a few times before, and I don't remember what happened in it. But the fact that, if I would have thought it could be her, actually, that would have helped me get through this really annoying raincoat Dobby / Gollum randomly appearing, going like and then like axing people, or like just like that. There's a bit of awful CG, which like is the bit where they're looking for Bluto, and she they come to this kind of clearing, and she looks, and he appears next to the tree, and it looks like it's the ring. It's Samara coming out of the TV in the ring.
What are you saying about the ring, Ron?
I'm not...
Yeah, but within the context of the ring, it looks like a videotape. It looks like static, whereas in this, it just looks cheap.
No, I agree with you. The CG in this isn't fantastic. The worst part by far is that shot when she is overlooking the clearing and like a tree kind of separates and turns into him. He looks so distinct from the background. It's crazy. But let's remember, this is 2007.
I know, and I wasn't going to like use that as a bad point, because I don't feel that I need that in my arsenal against this. But it's just the fact that that's really annoying, and the fact that this is probably not a bad point to the film, but it's just me generally, is that the guy who's wearing the burlap sack in this, the boy who's wearing that, is just a rip-off of the sack-headed boy from Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Now, I know that I shouldn't be comparing those two, but if I had to pick one, this kid, like, the story of him is great, is that, like, you know, he tried to avenge his murdered twin by putting the death-headed cap's mushrooms in the black... What is it, the black head...
The black...
What is
the
the
Black
name?
Knights?
The Black Brother.
Black Brothers,
The Black Brothers tea, and then the Black Brother goes crazy because of it and murders them all. Mm-hmm. But it's just, like, I just don't feel like he had any element of fear to that.
This might make you feel better. Do you know who plays the lonely twin?
Hey.
No.
Jack Gleason. Do you know who Jack Gleason is? Fucking Joffrey.
Joffrey! That's cool.
I know.
That's cool.
Who's Joffrey?
Is he scary now,
Game
bitch?
of Thrones.
Oh, Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Yeah, okay. I do know who that is.
That is cool. That gives it a little bump up the film.
A bit of street cred.
Yeah.
I was going to mention while we were just on the CG, just for the sake of putting my point across of the thing which I thought was the weak point of this. You said, like, this is 2007. we must give it some props. I disagree. I think the effects in this movie are awful. Even for 2007 standards, it just looks bad every single time. Like I saw one of those things like moving across all like jagged, or when it would pop in front of the screen, or like the fake zooms from people's eyes and stuff, and it was clearly done in post-production digitally. It just looked really bad. Like I wouldn't care if it looked cheap, but maybe a bit more like with more of an aesthetic. It just looked cheapo and crap.
It's fair enough. I honestly completely disagree, and I'm actually not just saying that to defend this movie, like, even though I am defending this movie.
Yeah.
There were moments, the moment you mentioned, Rob, there was a couple of bits where it would like come down from weird angles and stuff, and
yeah.
the Black Brother would come down from weird angles, that it did look bad. But generally, all round, I thought it was pretty well done, and especially considering I'm pretty certain they were on a lower budget, and, you know, there were actually moments with the Black Brother. Certain visions of him I still think are actually quite creepy.
When he's in the background and it's very black and white, he looks creepy.
That, and also, just after the bad scene at the clearing, when they all run away, she hides behind a tree and looks, and he's like just in the distance down like this corridor of trees, and he's like stood there in this like almost hunting position, and that still really creeps me out. I just think it's a really cool shot of him, and again, he's in the distance, maybe that helps.
I'll give you that though, because as much as he does look like Dobby and Gollum in a raincoat, that's still quite a scary thing.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't want to see that in the woods.
It's just to see him like walking around, like it didn't. Like at certain points, yes, at certain points, definitely. But they didn't carry out through the whole film until he became this annoying little douchebag, which I feel like I could have just kicked in the head. And like I wasn't scared of him. But I do want to talk about some things that help you with this film. There are two very original bits which I really enjoyed.
Okay.
Now, Bluto and the cow, fucking gold.
Yeah. No, genuinely. Like, that was one part. As soon as that happened, I went, oh, I remember this bit, because it is fucking funny.
It's so good. That bit will make me talk about this film. That will honestly be like, oh yeah, this film Shrooms, it's got like a dude who's like talking to a cow, and the cow's being really sassy.
Literally, I remember for years after we all watched this, because I think watched this on maybe like a girls' sleepover or something, which probably adds to my rose-tinted glasses look on the whole thing. But, like, for years after that, say if one of us would call someone a cow, it'd be like, yeah, I'm a fucking cow, and I could fucking talk. And that was, like, an actual quote we used all the time, and I agree with you, I really love that bit. It's really funny. But it's also weird. You know, it's not funny, it's stupid, and it's funny, but it's also still a bit weird.
It fits in, and that's the thing we were saying about the Shrooms, like, you could go anywhere. At least they did show a bit of fun with this cow, and, you know, that's talking, and they also explain it at the end of the film with the twist, which I think is cool. They go back to that. And another bit of originality is that Bluto pukes while looking up.
Oh, yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
It shows how
very believable.
It shows how fucked up he is. It shows that he really is fucked up. He's not like going, oh, I feel bad. He's looking up like, whoa.
Yeah, and he's smiling, isn't he? He's like looking up going, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I've got to give it the film that, it has flashes of really cool stuff.
And I think that's quite believable. Like, again, only from what I've heard, like hearsay, but I think vomiting on hallucinogens is quite common, like, because it obviously doesn't sit with your stomach particularly well.
Yeah, no, mushrooms are not particularly good for the stomach.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they're good for it, but they don't feel good.
Yeah,
like
vomiting is quite common, and the fact that he smiles all the way through it. Again, it's funny, but it's just off. You know, it's not comfortable. It's not. We're quite worried about this guy and his fate. Well, maybe not, because he's a bit of a douche.
Yeah, a bit of a douche.
We're worried about what's going on in general, and I think it's a really good way of showing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they do really miss a trick with that whole scene with Bluto.
A trick that Cherokee Creek, by the way, it's kind of on Blu-ray, which I hopefully am going to order.
Yeah,
check that out if you can. And you can get a signed one as well if you really wanted to.
Sick.
But yeah, Cherokee Creek, you see a lot of dick, and you see dick gone missing. This, they had a good chance to show you that. And before you go into that, I love the fact that we get the rules of dogging.
Yeah,
the fully fledged rules of what dogging is, because I've always wondered, and not for myself personally.
Yeah, right.
Just because it's like, what is this dogging thing that we do? Is it just a blowjob? Is it like everything? And it's like, no. People go and shag in a car, and everything's great, and then someone comes and stares at the car, and they're like, oh, okay. Flash him 3 times, he comes over, whips out the old Cherokee Creek prosthetic, and someone has a go on it. Job done. And I like the fact that because we get this guy who's clearly obsessed with sex and everything like that, he wants to cheat on his girlfriend, which is another point I found random that they added it in there, but we'll see how much of a dickhead this guy is. And he sees this car flash, and he just runs straight up to it, and he's like, yeah, let me in, I'm ready.
Yeah, even though it's like a really messed up, dirty old car that clearly hasn't been driven in decades. But I mean, he's off his tips, so
yeah, that's why I took that as
something completely different. But yeah, he thinks he's getting a happy ending. It turns out not to be so happy. And yeah, for some reason, he gets his cock ripped off. But when he pulls away and we see it on the camera, he's still got his pants on and he's like bleeding through his pants. And I was like, you could have had an excellent opportunity there for a nice bloody stump and you didn't do it.
And all of us would have gone,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or you could have done a Hostel 2 and had like a nice little prosthetic dick just drop down.
Exactly.
And then go like,
there's a lot of opportunities there for some like really
some gratuitous gore
Yeah.
involving cops.
And I don't know, maybe that was a budgetary thing. Maybe they couldn't get something realistic enough. But I mean, they don't really hold back on other moments of gore.
No,
but maybe they blasted all their budget on that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was for the rating or not. I'm not quite sure.
Maybe.
Another question round. This is just a quick one. It's a fun one. I've just thought of it, but I'm adding it to the list.
All right.
Okay.
What type of Haribo was the apparently hairy armpit lady wearing? Wearing? You wear Haribo when you're high. I'm going to let Manny go first because Ruby's like fully put
I put my hand
You're
up.
too eager, my friend. Too eager.
I didn't shout it out, did I?
Was it a red cherry?
No, it wasn't.
Gummy bears.
It was gummy bears.
Yay!
Fucker.
How many points do you have now, Ruby?
3. I'm doing well for once.
There are 4 more up for grabs.
Oh
So
my
Manny,
goodness.
you need to win all of these.
All right,
To be fair, this is my movie. I should be doing well.
Yeah, fucking right.
I think an easy way, I guess, to defend this movie is that all of this scary shit going on is and it could be seen as hallucinations. And anything that if I was going to be really like defensive about this, anything that you say is bad, I could just be like, yeah, but it's a hallucination. For example, when you're saying how bad the CGI looks like with the Black Brother at certain times, be like, yeah, but if you hallucinate that way, that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
and I know you can have hallucinations that are really odd looking. They obviously don't abide the rules of physics and look like the real world looks like. So it's like technically, actually.
But imagine if the director used that as a reason to go against bad reviews. Be like, nah, you can't review my film bad because it could have been anything. So it's what I say.
I know, and that's why I'm saying it's not a good defense.
It is.
I'm just saying I could go there,
but you're not going to, so that's fine.
It would be incredibly intellectually dishonest of you to use that as a defence because it is an utter cop out. But you know, it's fair enough. You could maybe just have it as a possibility.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'll hold on to it.
Yeah, you should.
For safekeeping, in case
you
it
should
gets
do
any
because
worse.
this film is shit, mate. You're gonna need all the defences that you fucking can get.
After I've said all of this, I still don't. I don't think it's shit. I don't hate it. But there are a couple of bits I want to carry on as well and talk about some of the more negative stuff because that is my role in this.
Yes.
And part of that is the way that they tried to show her hallucinating and stuff is that often I found it really annoying is they showed us what was about to happen.
Yeah,
and
mate.
we had to watch it happen.
Oh, mate, it did my head in. I as a framing device as just a way to structure your narrative. It's just clunky.
Yeah, like let's show you what's going to happen, but with a circle around and a bit hazy.
Yeah, man.
And then don't worry because we're going to show it to you in full widescreen right after.
Oh,
and it's not like they showed it from a different point of view. They showed actual bits of that exactly the same shot as you're going to see.
Yeah, but not really. No, not really, because they show you tiny little snippets of what is about to happen immediately after.
But then
for example, with Holly, that's the first time we really get that. Like a little bit of Blue, but not as much. The first time it's really like that is with Holly. When they get separated and Holly stumbles upon this cabin and it's where Ernie and Bernie live and yeah, we get a little bit of a flash forward before that happens, but we see Holly, we see a cabin and we see her hanging off a tree. That doesn't exactly explain to you what's about to happen. That
isn't the bit though. We see Holly running and then she sees the two people. It's like, can I come in? And then you see her run. You have like a minute long scene of her just running and it's like, oh, wonder where she's going to eventually get to it. That was really annoying because it's like, I know where she's going. I don't need to see her running now. That's the thing, like she wasn't like doing the typical like, oh, my clothes are falling off, which may have given something to someone. It just was her running. And she gets there and you're like, oh, funny that, she wants to go in. Now that scene was tense though. When they go in, it was tense when she was there. Because the whole time I was like, what's going to fucking happen? These people are like, clearly like, well, they're high on mushrooms as well.
Do you mean Ernie and Bernie?
Ernie and Bernie's. I'm like, okay, something bad's going to clearly happen in here. But then what actually happens in there is they have this weird little dog type person running around.
That's the feral child who we're told about in the scary story. One of the only kids to survive, the only kid to be found alive after the Black Brother massacre was the kid who'd been left to grow up with the dogs.
I suppose that's cool because you have the three big elements of the stories that she's kept. You know, the ones where he said the three people that weren't accounted for, she has imagined them up in her murderous rage. So that is cool, I guess. They found a way to input this.
I think that kid's real. The feral child is real.
It's not though, because when is it Holly? Who's her hairy girl?
Holly.
When she's like, I want to be your friend, we see the flashback at the end. That is Tara.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. When she's like, I just want to be your friend, we get a clip of her saying that to Tara, and Tara's like, "Rawr," and hits her with an axe.
Yeah, that's right.
Why would she give Tara gummy bears?
I don't know.
And why was Tara walking around on all fours in Ernie and Bernie's house?
You're just fighting my argument, my friend.
I think you're wrong. I think the feral child's real that lives with Ernie and Bernie. Ernie and Bernie were real. We know that because we see one of them being put in a cop car at the end.
Yeah.
They're real. The feral child's real. This is the thing. The story is true. We know that. It's how things are happening in the present day that is questionable.
Well, maybe it's real that the feral child chased her out of Ernie and Bernie's place, but maybe it isn't true the bit where they're hiding in that little weird bush area, which would have been good if the film would have explained that a bit better, because I truly think that I think that the feral child isn't real, and like you say, how does that explain her like crawling on all fours in Ernie and Bernie's house, and Ernie and Bernie searching for the feral child?
Because it wasn't her.
But then that doesn't explain the feral child in the bushes.
I think we just saw that whole thing differently.
Stalemate. Stalemate.
What do you think?
I really wish I had more of an opinion on it. Because I hate to sound like a condescending dick, but by this point I didn't really care. It didn't. I like.
It's your job to care. You're on a podcast.
I know, but it's just like, to me, the story starts being so sloppily handled that I just kind of go, fuck it. Who cares? Feral child might be real. Feral child might not be real. It's all a mess anyway. I mean, that's I really wish I could come off as being more professional and really like being able to give this. But that is genuinely how I feel about it. To me, this narrative starts being so sloppy that I'm just like, yeah, no, you can just let anything just happen because it is kind of all a trip, and you can kind of just let it go. Ugh. That's me. I know. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible human being.
I like it when we get Jake and Troy. They're in the house and they're in that room together. I thought that was kind of cool because I really didn't know what was going to happen at that point. And I think that's another thing that if they would have done it a little bit better, we would have kind of realised that they're fine in that abandoned kind of hospital until she goes in, and that's when they both die. And that's quite interesting. Yeah, obviously, of course, they don't die until she goes in because she's the killer. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing that maybe if I would have paid more attention and picked that up, I would have thought like, oh, that's interesting. That and they never see her. Like no one ever sees her. Like that, I really would have thought that they would have run into her, and be like, oh god, there she is. But they don't because she's murdering them. And the bit with Troy as well, like when he goes to the back and he's like trying to kick down that door and stuff, and then looks down and it's Sock Boy. Or Sack Boy, whatever we're calling it.
The lonely twin.
Yeah, I did slightly have a little jump there. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think he would be below him. I thought he'd like be through a keyhole or something. So that's cool.
Yeah,
it's.
I really like the voices they do. The way obviously it is Tara, but they don't know that. And when she does the Troy thing from like out in the woods, and then the second Troy does, it stops being a female voice and starts being a male voice going. Jake. I thought that was really nifty because he obviously realises in that second that it's definitely not fucking kosher, what's going on, like something weird's going on, which causes him to jump out of a fucking window and give us the best gore effect of the whole movie, which is a very, very broken leg.
That did look fucking grim.
Yeah,
that leg
looked really good.
But broken legs are just generally quite like unnerving, aren't they? Like that a protruding bone.
Well, especially in that situation when you got to be fucking running. Then definitely.
Good luck with that, hipster boy.
Another competition round?
Yeah, mate.
Okay, so just a simple one, just because we got to shoot a hornet in there. How long is this film in minutes? Manny, go.
That's a good point. This film feels like See, for me, I'm not sure because it does start to drag for me. So I think that towards the second half, the second act onwards, it does start to drag like hardcore, in my opinion. So I can't say for sure, but I'm going to. I don't want to say 90 minutes because that's a cop out. I'm going to say 91 minutes and be just a little bit of a cop out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ruby's just counting on her fingers for the listeners.
Yeah. Ruby can't count. I don't know, 100 minutes?
No, Manny wins. It was 86 minutes.
86?
86. So, Manny, you've still got a chance. You're still in this.
Alright, no, man, it feels longer than that. It does.
So after the Gammy broken leg bit, which is probably the finest moment of gore in this.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like you say, it's another flash of really good work. You know, we had the original thing with the cow. And that gore work, it does look... Like, every time you see it, I'm like, oh, that is a broken leg. He landed on that and twisted it, and it's fucking like the bones... Yeah, it's great.
It's virtually snapped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck running on that, hipster boy.
I'm actually trying to think of other moments of gore in this, and really it's mostly just blood.
Bluto's body looks pretty grim.
Yeah, Bluto's body.
Yeah. Has there been, did I imagine that, Bluto's had, a bit of his head taken off, or is that or is it just?
I think he was axed in the head.
Yeah.
A bit of it missing would make sense.
Because a lot of it is like he's covered in leaves and stuff. He looks well dead.
Very dead.
Yes.
Yeah. So after that, they sort of get off into the woods together, Tara and Jake. And this is basically the end of the movie. We get one sort of final sequence of Tara's hallucinations. I think this is the worst death of the movie is why do I want to call him Mike? Why? In my head he's just Mike.
It's so funny watching you talk.
Do you just want to go with Mike?
We can go with Mike.
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
happy
it,
with
mate.
What's his name? Mike? No, it's Jack. I just don't. In my head he is Mike and it's very annoying.
We'll go with Mike. I'm cool with Mike.
I might remember it now. So Mikey, Jakey, Jackie.
Take your pick.
He just gets this really weird kind of... It really felt like we've got to end the movie now. That's what it felt like. It was just very much like, okay, it's the end of the movie. We've got 5 minutes left. He just needs to die. Because Tara kind of leans him up against a tree, walks about 10 foot away, has a vision of him dying, turns around and he's dead. And then that's kind of it. And then she's, next scene, being airlifted out by a helicopter, which I actually wrote down, emergency services? Question mark. So I was like, who the hell fucking rang them? Luckily, we get an explanation for that.
Yeah, they do tie that up with her still having a phone.
Yeah, she still had her phone the whole time, so that was good. But it turns out, his for some reason, even though I felt like he was put across as a main character, as an important character, especially to Tara, he just kind of...
It's the most eventful death.
It's like, well, he needs to die, he dies.
Yeah, the least eventful death.
We don't even see how it happens. We're told through Tara's vision that the Black Brother kind of climbs down a tree on top of him, but we don't actually see what happens. So it's pretty lame. Another cop-out on their part. Again, hopefully, probably, maybe a budgetary thing, but who knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings us to the end of the movie where she's airlifted out by emergency services. We see that there are police and forensics and paramedics obviously uncovering the bloodbath that is this camping trip.
Yeah, and then we get the nice little twist, which you've already gone through. And to be honest, the twist, it's cool that they put that in there, and it's cool that when they did the filming of this, they clearly thought about that, because I don't think it is just tacked on. I think they have thought about it, and they're using the mushrooms and that, they set it up well. Again, the film is set up really, really well, and the ending goes with that setup well. It's just the middle bit, I feel that they could have missed the mark a bit there, but I'll talk about that when I come to do my rating. But shall we do the last few competition rounds to see what it is and then move on to our ratings?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so this is another one that's a bit of a different question, and it's going to be a numbered question. So we'll see how that one goes.
Buddy.
So how long did the shoot take? The whole shoot in weeks?
I'm going to guess this took... I'm going to guess this took 2 weeks.
Nope.
No.
8 weeks.
Very close.
9 weeks.
Other way.
7 weeks.
Yes.
Fuck's sake.
I think Ruby's won.
4.
You've won.
How many more
I've
questions?
got
Yeah,
3 more.
We'll just carry on doing them.
Well, no, because if Maddie gets the next 3, we'll be tied.
There is 2 more. No, there is 3. I am wrong. There is 3.
All right.
So Manny, you're still in. We'll go
still
for
in the game.
Okay, so we'll go through these because this is the climax of the thing. Who's going to bring in their 3 debate questions for the next episode?
All right.
So I don't actually know how much this film cost. I'm sorry to tell you guys. You kept on bringing it up, and I didn't want to burst your bubble because I thought, like, if I tell you that I don't know, we wouldn't get you guys trying to work out how much it costs. So I don't know how much it costs to make, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
But I do know what it made worldwide.
Did you not find it?
I couldn't find it. I went on all the profit and loss sites and everything.
Yeah.
But I do know how much it made worldwide.
Worldwide box office.
Worldwide box office.
All right. I think I came across in my research that this wasn't a huge hit overseas. I think it did okay in the UK. 2 mil. I'm going to guess 2 million.
Okay, and this is the closest, this one. I'm not going to make you reel it off.
Alright, I'm going to say 2 million.
I think it has to be more than that. I think this probably did okay, given the time. Like, horror was really big at this time. This was a real gets people off their sofas to the cinema kind of for horror time. I don't think it did incredibly well. It never got a sequel, and that's the kind of thing that tends to happen with these sorts of movies when they do insanely well.
Yeah.
I don't think this cost, we don't know, I don't think it cost a hell of a lot to make, but I think it did okay. So I'm going to say 25 million.
Okay. It was 4.9 million.
Oh.
Well done, Manny. So you're still in this. You're still in this. You get 2 more.
4.9
Only made 4.9 million. I don't even know if that was box office. That might just be in general. That seems
But
to
it
be
got a worldwide release.
Yeah, I know the release was very UK centric. I don't think it got like a really wide release.
But
like
you're saying
in the
it's
US.
a worldwide box office,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it must have gotten...
Yeah, it definitely got some love for sure.
Right, so the next questions are about Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. Now, IMDb got 4.7, which is not great,
No.
but it's a horror film, and it's one that didn't get the biggest of releases. It didn't have the biggest promotion, so it's not terrible. But what did it get on Metacritic, Ruby?
Give us your best shot.
28%.
And Manny?
Oh, that was quite close. I was gonna say, I think this got 30. Oh no, Oh no, fuck it, I'm just gonna stick with 30. Screw it.
Well, Manny, you get that point. It was 5.4, which is 54%. It comes up weird sometimes with Metacritic, but that's 54%.
Alright.
So, yeah, Manny, you got another point. Oh, so this is big.
Is this where we decide whether Ruby wins or I tie?
If you get this, you tie, and then you have to guess my rating again. And if Ruby wins,
or we could do rock paper scissors.
what for the whole
Actually, yeah, no,
championship?
that's not very audio based, is it? We need to keep it thrilling for the listener.
We're going to try.
Okay.
So, what did it get on Rotten Tomatoes, Manny?
Oh man, I can't imagine this got a lot. I can't imagine this got a lot at all. 20%.
Okay.
That's what I would go for.
Ruby?
What do you think?
25%.
Well, that was very close. Very close indeed. But Ruby, you have won the episode. It was 27%.
Oh,
Jesus, that is close.
I was going to say 28, what I said before as well.
Ooh. Sweet.
So
baby
Ruby
Lord.
takes it. You'll be bringing your 3 debate ideas to next week.
I basically just won myself homework, so I'm not particularly ecstatic about this win.
And there's a chance you might not even be picking it.
But
so
it is a win all the same.
It is
so
a win. And you're
I'll
on a
take
double
it.
streak now. That's 2 in a row.
You get the glory.
That is true.
Right, so shall we do our ratings to end out the show as we usually do?
Yes.
So I'm going to give mine, and even though I may sound like I've been really pushing it here, that's because I wanted to play the game. I wanted to go against Ruby, and I think Ruby, you did very well defending that, especially with my quite harsh critiques. But after all of that, I still enjoyed it. Same as last one. I had fun watching it. I was watching it with you guys, had a beer. It's an enjoyable film. There's some funny bits to it. There's some bits which are creepy, and there's some bits which I left me thinking, this had such good potential. It had some really cool bits in it. And to be honest, with a lot of horror films that came out in the mid noughties, that's not bad to say that, you know, it just fell short on a few bits. So I'm going to give this a 5.6.
All
a
right.
5.6 death cap mushrooms up the bum.
Okay then. All right. I think I'm going to take the place that Ruby took last week with House of Wax in being the cynical fucker. I think this film has a couple of good bits in it. I like the setup, regardless of how generic it is. I think that it starts to work on a pretty like average level. But for me, the film genuinely tanks. It just has too much rubbish CGI, a narrative that is just clumsy to a pretty intense degree, is at very best pretty average, and that's in a lot of its best moments. I did something I don't like doing in movies, which I started to like involuntarily zone out while I was watching it, because it was just like, I didn't like this film. I didn't like this film the first time I watched it. I really tried to be positive, but for me, yeah, towards the second act onward, it just, I'm sorry, Ruby, you have not managed to convince me. I think I'm gonna have to give this a 3.2 protruding bones out of 10.
Protruding bone.
Actually, yeah, that's not very representative of this fucking movie. What other stuff? I'm going to have to give this 3.2 goblin, golem, fucking dobbies out of 10. There we go. That's better.
Okay, I feel like I've said everything already in my desperate attempt to defend this movie. I stand by all the good stuff I've said. I think this film has a really good atmosphere. I enjoy the concept. Objectively, I know that it's not unique or special particularly, but I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. As we sort of got at earlier, I think this is a really good, you know, one of my first horror movie kind of movies, like, especially to watch with friends in a group. It's really good for that. It has its moments that are actually, I think, quite creepy. The pacing isn't fantastic, especially towards the end, but I think, you know, considering it is a trashy movie, I think it did okay with that sort of stuff. As I mentioned, a lot of the character stuff kind of bothers me, but at the same time, there were only certain moments of dialogue that I thought were really terrible. Whereas in like these sort of more generic trashy horror movies, normally the dialogue is just bad, start to finish. You know, it's hollow and just crap. But I don't think it is in this. But I still feel like I like this movie. I will watch it again. If I ever come across my copy of it, I will be putting it firmly and proudly back on my shelf. I'm going to give this 6.5 abused orphans out of 10.
That's definitely the best scale out of all of them as well.
So that was Shrooms. Guilty Pleasure Round 2. Well done, Ruby. Good defending.
Yeah, you've done a good job. You've done a good job. I've got to say, I completely, wholeheartedly, like, I can see from your perspective. I have empathy. I just don't agree.
Now, after your very, very harsh voting, Manny, I hope you're going to bring a decent film next week, because you are going to get shat all over, my friend. Oh. Even if I like the film, I'm going to go for you. So, and you'll be unveiling that on Monday's episode.
Yes.
And that episode is going to be 12 Poll. Now, I don't know if you guys remember that on our 0.5 series, at the very start, we did one called Glam. Now, that production company, they made this film called 12 Poll, and they hadn't released it for so long. And they actually gave us a screener for that. And then they came back to us and said, it's being distributed now, it's going to come out this year. But they've had to change it. It's now called 12 Poll Manor.
Alright.
So coming up next episode, we'll be talking about that in the 0.5 series, which is going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to that. It's been a long while waiting to watch this film.
Yeah, no, I specifically remember watching the trailer for that, like you know, while we were sort of looking up certain things to do with the 0.5s and to do with Glam, and that trailer looked really promising. It looked really cool. So yeah, I'm super psyched. You know what I mean? I've got a bit of an expectation for this one.
Yeah, me too.
Which is rare. So going into a lot of these, we don't really have much in the way of context going into them. But the fact that we've got had a bit of a taste I'm ready to experience the full course. Yeah.
And for the review of the episode, this one just came in and it's really cool because it shows that people are listening to our old stuff. It's a review on episode number 2 on a Podbean on Hereditary, and it's from the Date Night Horror Show, and it's a simple one. Great conversation on a great film.
Aww.
Fantastic. I hope that our conversation can live up to that movie, because it is I think I can speak for all of us. We were all a bit frightened by doing that movie at the time, because we weren't that experienced at that point, and we all fucking love that movie. It's to me, I think it's one of the best horror films of recent years. So thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, man. Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping
and we'll
on.
see you on the other side.
Now, also with next Thursday episode, Ruby's going to be bringing her debate episode ideas, and that debate is going to be posted on our Twitter, which is also where we post everything to do with our episodes. You can follow us on @WatchHorrorPod. On Instagram and Facebook, we are
@Let'sWatchHorrorPod.
And on our Gmail, if you want to get in touch with us directly, or you've got a 0.5 that you maybe want us to review, that's letswatchhorror@gmail.com. Thank you very much to Tommy Musgrove, and that's it from us on this episode. So thank you for listening. Hopefully you'll stick around for the next one. Goodbye.
Love you.
Bye.